Okay, here we're recording now.
Okay, good. You're gonna go. So it's towards the bottom of the page. I mentioned in the books. This is the on the very bottom of the page, the last line really. Just want to discuss briefly what we're up to, and in general put things in perspective, bring it back to what we're discussing. The discussion is focused on a paradox. We have what's called an etzem. We discuss the principle of an etzem. And this etzem, and based on the principle that we discussed of the etzem, is in its own truth, fundamental truth, where there is not a potential even for exposing and expressing itself. Because expressing itself, like say, oyer, we discussed this week a lot about the principle of context. We pointed out that everything in the world exists within a context. We discussed the significance of that context, how important it is, and the context actually makes the reality of the thing. Thus, since it is within a context, therefore it reaches out, so to speak, to affect its environment. Its environment is significant to its existence, to what it stands for. To give us a very simple, if we can focus and get a very subtle idea. We said the other day, a table, for example, is a table only if it is in a room, in a house, in a dining room. If it is outside of the context of a room, of a dwelling, It's just wood in a certain form. It doesn't have the reality. You wouldn't call it a table by name. It has a form that you can use in a certain way. But when you give something a name, it means that it has an essential presence defined by this name. Essential presence means that it is not merely usable in a certain way, but that its presence makes a statement. It's meant an essential presence. Like we say, in a room where there is a table, in a house, when there's a dining room and there's a table, it makes a statement. The statement is that this table is to accommodate human beings getting together, for example. Now, due to the fact that the table exists within a function, within a context, it therefore actually illuminates and affects the context. Like when you come into a home and you see a table, yes, a table is useful. It has a certain functionality. At the same time, it brings a certain aura to the home. This is a living home with people getting together, especially if the table is surrounded by chairs. It actually brings out a certain life element in the room. It sheds light into the room. That is possible because the table is defined by its context. It is not an independent presence.
So it's defined by its context and it's contributing to its context.
And it contributes. But if you have something that is an independent reality, an atzmi, then that atzmi does not relate and does not occupy itself with its surroundings. You're giving it any kind of aura, any kind of an effect. Thinking of an example with this, I can't think of the moment. Okay, so this is what we're saying. There is the principle of an atzim. The nefesh is an atzim. So even though the nefesh gives life to the body, but this giving life to the body, it really is a paradox. Why does the nefesh express itself in the form of life? The nefesh itself is beyond that. They put it in in, so to speak, in real terms. Life, life is, one of the qualities with which we define life is sensitivity. Something that's living, if you touch it, it senses that you touch it. Something that's lifeless does not have that sensitivity. As an example, the nefesh does not respond, so to speak, to the touch. Not because it is not sensitive, but because it's in a different reality. Kuf Samar Gimel.
Rabbi Paltiel,
Yes.
may I ask a couple of questions about what you just said?
Yes, I just want to finish. Because when we say insensitivity, insensitive, normally it means that it is insensitive. There is nothing to it. But the nefesh is not sensitive, so to speak, to an external touch, so to speak. Is not due to lack of sensitivity, lack of life, but rather it is due to a superior quality. Of a fundamental truth. Let me again put this in real terms. A person, when you touch him, he feels a touch. Why does he feel the touch? Because he feels a touch because he is part of this environment. And if you touch him, there is a kind of a solicitation. It's a call to the person that he should participate in something that's happening in his environment. And this call to participate in something that's happening in his environment is significant to the person, because his being in the environment, this is what he is. It's significant to him. To respond, to do things what need to be done, and so forth. This is what defines the human being, that he is sensitive and he is concerned about the environment. He responds to it. This is what gives the person his reality, his true presence. And he's participating in his environment. This is very brief for me. Clearly, there's much to elaborate on this, but everybody understands this sufficiently. The nefesh, its true presence, is not dependent on its effect on its environment. The nefesh is completely sensitive and focused on the atzmos holokus. Elokus, again, coming back to this classic statement of the Rambam, is a motu rishon. Motu rishon clearly is not a response to anything, not a response to an environment. Motu rishon is reality itself. The nefesh has cognizance of the presence of the motu rishon, and this is what gives it its sensitive, its presence. that it knows of the Motzerisha, and it cleaves and it seeks the Motzerisha. This is what the nefesh is. Therefore, when we say that the nefesh has oyer, and it actually relates to its environment, and illuminates, responds to a touch, so to speak, we have the question, how come? And to put this concept even in simpler terms, total simple terms that we can relate to directly, very simply. A human being, generally speaking, is represented by his intelligence. And even though he is part of his environment, but within his environment, his interest is in that which has, which arouses his intellectual curiosity. What is this about, and how is this? What is its purpose? Like we said, Avraham Avinu was walking around the world and saying, "Yesh balabayis libidazu." Where is the balabayis? That is a profound intellectual question, because he sees a balabayis, but he doesn't see him. He sees him from the effect, and he doesn't see him himself. This is the human interest. If at the same time there would be some kind of an occurrence, let's say something of a significance, in sense, a dog is barking, would that elicit some kind of a response? Interesting. Why is a dog barking? What kind of dog is it? It doesn't exist. He's got a completely a different reality, a different real pursuit. So even though in his environment there's a dog, he doesn't interest in her whatsoever. So this is the question that we're asking. The nefesh is an atzmi, and is totally has no oyer, so to speak. It doesn't have this element of relating to a context, to an environment. Why? Because it's focused on the Motzerisha. Where then does the in of oyer come from the nefesh? Chayus. And what is the pshat chayus? When the nefesh touches the body, it gives off life and it brings life to the body. Where does that life come from? That life means that the nefesh is giving the body a certain sensitivity, recognizing its environment, and recognizing a certain purpose and value. in this environment, where is that come from the nefesh? And the same question we had on the shemesh. Shemesh is etzem behiri. So where is the inyan for oyer come from the shemesh? Oyer means to illuminate darkness. Shemesh has no sense of what that is. Then we went further. Eish hayisoidi. Eish hayisoidi means the elemental fire. That really is a challenge. That really is kind of escapes us. What do you mean by Eish hayisoidi?
What do we mean by what?
Eish hayisoidi. We're saying it's not even Eish, it's not Oyer. Eish HaYisoidi means the element of fire which is present everywhere at all times. Everywhere and in everything. It's one of the four elements that constitute everything that exists. I don't know why I'm going there, but we are used to not skipping things, okay? What is the meaning of Eish HaYisoidi? Let's step away from this. We speak about ahava, let's say. Midas. A person has midas. Ahava and yira. Chesed and gvura. We can readily identify ahava and yira and chesed and gvura circumstantially. If somebody has is involved with you and and helps you out and gives you a good feeling and encourages you and inspires you and responds to your weaknesses or whatever it is, it develops a certain relationship, a certain ahava. This ahava is not, as we all, this is not real ahava per se. It's not an essential ahava. It's an ahava. It's called ahava tluya b'dover, as it says in Pikios. Ahava tluya b'dover. There's something you gain from this relationship. As a result of that, there is ahava between the two people. It's nevertheless called ahava, but it's not ahava. An essential ahava, ahava she'ena tluya b'dover, ahava that is independent of any interaction. It is real ahava, like v'ahavta l'recha kamecha. V'ahavta l'recha kamecha, the Baal Shem Tov says that applies to love a yid that you have never seen, you don't even know that he exists. On the other end of the world. V'ahavta l'recha kamecha. And not that you love him. Here's the catch that you have to go. Not you love him because he's a yid, he's a good person, whatever it is. You immediately correlate to yourself. Like yourself. Where is that from? You love him at a distance. Oh, he's a good person, I love him. I love all good people. But when we say kamoicha, that's a completely different statement. Kamoicha means that he is to you like you yourself are to yourself. It's the personal ahava. Where does that come from? This ahava is eino tluya b'dover. This is not an ahava that develops as a result of any kind of interaction, of benefits and so forth. There is a midah of ahava. It's a phenomenal thing. This midah of ahava, we have to understand, it's a godly creation just like everything else. It comes from the Motzei Rishon. There's a fundamental truth to it. And here's the point that I would like that we should contemplate. We have to know that everything that exists on a relative level, like Avo Hatluya B'Dover, the basis of that Avo is Ayin Hatluya B'Dover, is a fundamental truth. Avo Hatluya B'Dover is the chitzonius, it's touching it on the surface. It's not really bringing out the real thing. But there's a real basis for it. What is the muscle for this? What is the focus that helps us focus on this? When you eat something sweet, you're eating something sweet and you're enjoying because it's sweet. It's tasty. First think with me. There is food what you eat which has nothing to do with sweetness, nothing to do with this. Food, bread. Fundamentally basic, what's called staple food. Sweetness, we all know you can eat a candy, you can have a second candy, that's it. There's a limit how much you can eat candy. Nobody ever got tired of bread. I've eaten bread it turns my stomach. It goes out. No, bread is a fundamental food that the very essence of the person's relationship to food relates to it. It's a fundamental thing. It's not taste dependent. I don't like bread because of its taste. I like bread because there is some kind of richness in this eating. When you eat candy, there you're involved in the sweetness and in the taste. Now, even though you're involved in the sweetness and the taste, you're not involved in the sweetness and the taste exclusively. In other words, if you were given this same taste in a non-food element, now it's a fake. Just a sensation of taste, sensation of sweetness. Would you have the same experience as when you eat a piece of chocolate? You would reject it. This is not the real thing. But you eat chocolates because it's tasty. It's tasty. It's tasty, but it's also real. And it correlates, so to speak, to eating bread. It's real food. What is the point I'm making? That in anything that exists at any level, even if it is tluya b'dover, even if it's not the real thing, the chitzonius is based on pnimius. And pnimius is based on pnimius and based on etzem, on reality itself. And if not, if it's devoid of that relationship, of the reality, then it would lose he would lose his chitzonistic presence also. Fire, okay, you have this fire, water, eish, ruach, mayim. These are things that exist. And you said you see them on a chitzonic level. Fire, it's not a real fire. The fire that we experience is because the fire consumes a piece of wood, and that this is fire. But this is what's called the chitzonius of fire. An active presence of fire. It's not the fundamental reality. If there were not the fundamental reality, the element of fire, there could not be the chitzonius of fire. There could be, but it would have no significance. It would not have a real presence. This gives us a sense of focusing and understanding the meaning of the word Eish HaYesodi. The element, the elemental fire. When you look at fire, yes, you see wood being consumed. That consumption, this is the fire consuming the wood. But fire per se is a reality in itself. Like, for example, a spark is fire. It doesn't consume anything. It doesn't consume anything. So what we're saying is that the yesod, the elemental fire, just like going back to our moshel of Ahava, the chitzonius of Ahava Atlui B'Dover, is very, very active, very demonstrative. And Ahava, the essence of Ahava, like we say, for a person that you don't know exists, that's a very passive, that's a quiet Ahava. You don't even know that it's going on. But that's a real thing. It's part of the truth of the nefesh. It's part of the truth of the nefesh. That Ahava is there not because he was around, but because this is the part of the truth of the nefesh.
Is that the basic of that is Knesset Israel?
What?
The basic of that feeling is Knesset Israel? That we all come from one neshama?
No, I don't know what. I'm saying, I'm talking of, I try to focus on the principle of Yesod. So this Yesod is not, this Ahava is not an active Ahava. It is a fundamental Ahava. From this Ahava comes the chitzonic Ahava, even though this Ahava is totally passive.
What's the point that you made about the spark? What's the point you made about the spark?
Well, the spark, I just wanted to point out that fire, even fire as we know it, is not dependent consumption. Even the chitzonic of fire. But the real fire, I mean, the Eish HaYesodi, is not even hot. The reason that we can relate and understand fire, the active fire, is because we relate to the Eish HaYesodi, to fire per se, to reality of fire. The reason we can relate to Ahava, Atluya B'Dava, to the Chitzonius Ahava, is because we can relate to real Ahava. We understand what Ahava is. Not a fiery Ahava, and a contained Ahava, a Helam Ahava. Ahava that has no expression.
It seemed
Just as, I'm sorry, a candy, the taste of a candy depends on your taste of bread. There is no taste in bread. Just the reality of eating. I'm sorry, Shlomo. What? What's the matter?
I think I'm getting it, but we did have that the external love should Tului B'Davar, that it, at least at first glance, it's based on some kind of circumstance, some kind of gain. But then we're going behind that and we're saying the reason that it has any traction is because of the inner element of love.
Yes. That's when you call this chitzonius. This is not the real thing. But if not for the real thing, then this couldn't take place. And the example from that is the sensation of taste.
Would not be.
Sensation of taste, a normal person would just throw up from it.
So that's to say, even the Avashat Tului B'Davar, it's not all self-serving. There's something
It's
real.
not.
There's something
It's
real.
self-serving. The active part, the excitement of it is self-serving. But the essential element of Ava is real.
Which is as if to say, even though it looks like it's Tului B'Davar, really ain't no Tului B'Davar.
The basis of it is not. It's the pursuit of it and the active part of it is totally done.
The active part of it is not based on the inner sense. It's based on some external benefit.
The active part of it is this, taking the essential, the inner sense of Ahava, and using that to activate, to promote something which is very chitzonius. But this is what enables the chitzonius Ahava to take root. Is that clear?
And so basically the fact that there's anything meaningful in life is because there's a godly reality.
Sorry?
The fact that there's anything meaningful is because there's a godly reality.
Ultimately, it's because of reality. But this is...
But then there's levels.
There's levels. And yes, everything has a godly element. So when we're saying this, and we're not going all the way down, we're going to read this. A very simple experience of Ahava, Yira.
Why is it that it, in other words, you brought out, the Maimar has brought out that this dynamic exists on many, many levels. It's not just Atzmus and Or, but that's reflected everywhere in existence. I mean, it seems like there's all these examples of...
Well, like Asia is saying.
Yeah, like where Koch of Tanua as in red.
Right. So this is, you're saying the point. That the elemental level of everything is not active. And yet, the active element comes from that. How is that? That's the question we're asking.
And the active element
Wait a second.
No, I mean...
You get, listen, you brought all the way down to Asia, you say...
Yeah. No, it's an interesting dynamic that the Yesod is totally unlike that which comes from the Yesod.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And we gave these examples from food, that if you think about it, you, how does the taste, the enjoyment of eating bread bring about the enjoyment of eating candy, or a piece of chocolate? They're totally different worlds. Again, if the chocolate had no eating element, only the taste, only the sensation, you couldn't do it. It's all based on some kind of reality.
Why is there such a dynamic? What's the significance of all of this?
Significance of all of this is that everything is a creation. Especially we're talking about a human being.
An intentional.
It's a creation. It's a godly creation. It's real.
Because
When rain comes down from the sky,
Yeah.
if you have the impotent mind, you say, that's not to do with anything. The clouds couldn't hold this water anymore, and it came down. But your intellect says, no, this is not what I'm looking at. This rain accumulated is in the cloud, accumulated to the point until it overflows and the rain comes down. And where does it come down? It comes down onto the earth. And what happens when it comes down the earth? It comes out with force, digs into the earth, and brings it back to fertility.
How does that relate to, what's the connection between that and the Yesod element? I mean, in other words...
Right. By the explanation we can dot to what we were discussing.
Right.
Explanation we can dot to like this. Superficially, rain is water coming down from the sky. In reality, it is water to feed the earth. There is a reality to it. There's a real presence. It's present in the world. It has a real worldly presence.
Right, but I'm still, in other words, the point that we're making is that the reality is totally something different than the active element.
That's right.
So what?
Well, this is water and this is water. Okay, vapor is not water. When it's vapor,
No, but we're saying the whole, in other words, the whole process of rain is really, that's like the active.
The process of rain is to make the earth grow.
And to make the earth grow, that's more the Yesod.
That's the Yesod.
That's the Yesod.
That's the purpose. You don't see it in the rain coming down. In the Pasuk it says right in the beginning, that Rebbe created everything, but nothing yet grew. Like it too. This is interesting. It's phenomenal. Nothing yet grew. Ki Elohim tir Hashem Elokim al hor. Hashem did not cause rain to come down on the earth yet. The Ayin la b'neso Adam, and there's no human being to till the earth. Here Yitzchok. What's the connection with it? Rashi says, there's nobody there who would appreciate what rain is. There's no rain. Autumn came and he appreciated. He says, "Oh, I need rain," and the rain came. This recognition of Adam Orisha, that rain is a valuable thing and needed. This is not rain. This is recognition of a completely different realm. This is not water. And this is what elicited and created the water, the rain.
So now we can understand. That's okay.
That's the importance of our asking.
Right. That's important of asking, because asking defines what it is that we need. What it is that is a reality here.
So we're getting a sense of the connection between the active and the meaning
And the fundamental,
of it.
exactly.
It's not
right.
totally just. We can see the actual.
And we see that the fundamental, that's the real thing. And if it's lacking the real thing, it's lacking everything. I don't want to bring it out in other relationships that are impotent. It's not human. There is a person sick, not really. Terry speaks about it, all kinds of different things, but it's not real. Avodah Zarah is not real. People will ask the English that he's so angry if you bow to a stone, to an idol. What? An idol is nothing. What does he care? I created a human being. Where does a human being come to bow to an idol? A goy is not allowed to bow to an idol. This is out of the question. I gave him a human being, I gave him intellect at whatever level. What is this? It's abuse. Yitzchok, you with me?
Yes.
I mean, again, Yitzchok. Shlomi, yeah? Huh? Yeah. Okay. This is called Eish. This is the meaning of Eish HaYesedi. There's an elemental fire. This fire is not hot, not actively hot. Imagine if the Ahava Mesuteres that we have, the Alta Necha Kumech that we have, loving every Yid in the whole world as far out in the globe as it is. What would the human being look like? He'd burn up.
Right now.